Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Chris Adlam with Youth Pledge for Employers, and I'm delighted to be joined by Mick, the Director of Wales Interiors. Hello there, Mick.
Hi, Chris.
Fantastic. Again, thank you for giving me your time this afternoon to talk to me. And I guess my first sort of question, my first question has to be, can you tell us a bit about Wales Interiors and what you do?
So Wales Interiors is a specialist wall covering installation company. So what is that? It's pretty much exactly as it says on the tin. We hang very high-end specialist wall covering, predominantly in the super prime residential market in London, but also throughout the UK and abroad. We've been as far as Singapore, Indonesia, wow, America, all out to the Middle East. So we install a lot of paper-backed fabrics, hand-painted silks, rooms that the wallpaper has been custom made for the room. So as you can imagine, it's high value. There's long lead times on it, and there's no room for mistakes. And we've been going for about 11 years now. My wife and I started the company 11 years ago. It's just grown organically. I started from scratch. I'm a paper hanger myself. I'm not on the tools anymore, and we've taken more and more people on as we've grown over the years. We've now got a team of 9 installers, 1 project manager, 1 sales manager, marketing manager, office manager, and Natalie, my wife, is the big boss.
No, it's good to know. It's always good to know who the big boss is, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
You've actually sort of beaten me a little bit to my next question there, which is I was going to say, as you said there, if you're having to deal with sort of distribution and clients, sort of all over the world and further afield like that, I was going to say, yes, I'm assuming you need more staff than, as you say, just the people who are actually out there, doing the hanging. I know you've just given me a little summary there, but can you sort of just give me a little bit more of a breakdown, the sort of, what the process is, who does what, if you see what I mean, to facilitate what you do on a day-to-day?
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll start from the engine room, so to speak. So where the installations actually happen. So they're predominantly London, and that is where the project manager, sales manager, and all the installers are based. So jobs come in through word of mouth now, obviously a little bit on the internet, but we're mainly B2B. So and through the manufacturers of the people, so the people that actually make the wallpaper or distribute the wallpaper, we're on their recommended installers list. So the jobs come through, they get quoted, and the estimation process that's with the sales manager, and hopefully he'll get the he'll struck the deal, and then that gets passed along the line to the project manager. The project manager is an installer as well. Okay, the project manager is also my business partner. We've trained him up from absolute scratch. So when he turned up 8 years ago, never hung a piece of wallpaper before in his life, and we've trained him up, and he's gone all the way through, and he's actually bought shares in the business as well.
Oh, wow.
And then the project manager will basically do all the implementation of the actual job. So he will arrange materials to get to site, make sure site is ready for the installation itself. Obviously, there's certain site conditions that's needed to do a pristine installation, and assign the installer, and then he will assist the installer with any questions, give them all the information, layout, as much information as he knows, and then the installer will do the installation, and then he will get it signed off, communicate back to the client, troubleshoot as they go along, and then we'll invoice. That will go through to our office manager, who takes care of all the invoicing, all the wages, and she also does the supply of wall covering as well. So that happens in the office, and that's the office based here in Suffolk, in Woodbridge in Suffolk. That's where I'm based. And that's where Natalie, that's in charge of strategy, everything high level, essentially, is actually she based as well. And then we've got the marketing manager. She runs all the social media campaigns. We're big doing a CPD campaign at the moment as well. And she's based in Suffolk as well. That's pretty much it in a nutshell.
No, fantastic. And yeah, I was about to say, cheers for doing it so succinctly. I know it's not easy to, as I say, describe what everyone does and what everyone's purpose, in only a couple of minutes. So, no, that's absolutely brilliant. And actually, based on what you said there around your business partner, who, as you said, has sort of come in through the door and gone all the way through, as you say, to now sort of buying shares and those kind of things. Um, what kind of traits, whether they be sort of character traits or personality traits, do you find that they had that allowed them to sort of go through the organization, if you see what I mean? Because one thing we look to do as a project is to give young people an idea of the kind of traits they need to show in a business to progress. So what kind of traits did your business partner have?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. So for us, we can teach anyone anything, but the traits. But it's great that you asked that question, because that's what we're looking for, is personal traits. Personal traits are punctuality, turning up on time, being someone that you can count on. So turning up on time and being reliable. Okay. Honest, hardworking, good communicator, and be able to be very direct, and to be able to take direct conversations in return. And those are the key traits. Now, in line with that, if we were looking for a paper hanger, then we would, they need to be quite organized, quite OCD almost, and be very methodical, and have a really good eye for detail, and be able to follow a process. And this is throughout the company as well. What we look for is someone with very a humble attitude. Yeah.
No, brilliant. Thank you. That's, I say, a really nice summary. And actually, I appreciate honesty in the fact you, as you say, look for someone sort of who can have those direct conversations, who's not afraid to, sort of express themselves as well. And, that so much value is put on personal traits. And it sort of leads quite nicely onto my next question, which is I tend to ask a lot of employers about sort of typical days within organizations. And I know there's no such thing as a typical day. But if using some of the characteristics you summarized there, if you were going to talk about how someone in your organization may need those traits on a good day in the business, and how they may need some of those traits on a bad day in the business, what do those days look like, and what traits are those showing on those days?
So a good day of the business would be the communicating side of the installation, and I can probably combine this for a good and bad day of the business. So a good day of the business is so the installer turns up to do the installation, gets the product out, and notices some flaws, a little bit. There's something not quite right with the wall covering. So now we've got a problem. Bad day, potential bad day. The installer communicates clearly back to the project manager. Also troubleshoots it as well, presents solutions. The project manager picks that up, delivers that straight upstream to the client. We've got XXX with the wallpaper. Don't worry, we think we can do A, B, or C. In our opinion, we think it's best to do A. What do you think? They come back. We've communicated really clearly. There's no misunderstandings. Been very direct. They come back and say, yeah, we'd like to do option C, please. Go ahead. And the installer delivers, implements that perfectly. So that would be an idea that really based around communication and and being direct and to the point, basically. Those are the two traits which has kept a good day on track to be a good day, essentially.
No, brilliant. Thank you for that. As I say, I know it's not easy to sort of, sometimes to talk about what the bad days are in a role and stuff, but, I appreciate your honesty on that. And as I say, to again, concisely do a sort of a day full stop, because I know they can be very different from industry to industry. My next question really, and you sort of touched on it, as I say, you've spoken about some of the personality traits that you as an organization would be looking for. you know, with someone coming into post. If there was a young person who maybe wanted to apply for a role at Wells Interiors, and you know, they obviously now know what personality traits they should put in there. Maybe mention that, as you say, they're good at communication, they're punctual. What kind of other things would you look for? Whether that's in there, maybe their hobbies, their experiences. You know, what other things could a young person be doing right now that they could put on a CV that you as an employer would think, actually, that's something I'd be looking for?
Show enthusiasm. Yeah. Show real enthusiasm, and if you can put that enthusiasm on in writing in the CV, something like, you know, please give me the time to meet you, get me in front of you. You know, everyone's really busy, okay, but as an employer, what I'm always looking for is enthusiasm. I'll give you an example. I'll give you a direct example. I've just actually gone through some job interviews. One applicant turned up, and we asked for him to turn up like at 1 o'clock. He turned up 20 minutes early. He turned up, and don't forget, we still do a manual job, you know, so we're on the tools. He turned up suited, booted, clean shoes. He had a firm handshake, look in the eye. He turned up and he had extra photos of his work. He'd gone above and beyond. You know, to be honest, like if someone does that, and like we're going to give them a shot. You know, like that those are like, it's quite simple. That's what those are the sort of things that we're looking for. So get enthusiasm. So I need to get off your CV enthusiasm. I need to get off your CV that you've got attention to detail. So even look, I'm not the world's best speller, right? But I know that I can take to someone to get my CV done for me, right? So it's going to look great. So what I'm looking for, I don't think there's any excuses for bad grammar, spelling mistake on CVs, because even if you perhaps struggle with spelling, as I do, but I know that I can go to people and get my CV done by them, and that shows that that shows so much to me, especially after I meet you, or you know, and maybe that comes up in conversation, but that would show that, you know, you're good at problem solving. You found a way around it. So there's no excuses for bad grammar, spelling mistakes in CV. If we can get enthusiasm off the CV and make sure all your contact details are correct, okay. And just for me, if I see that, then my first thing is I'm going to call you. Yeah. So make sure I can get hold of you, answer back properly. If you know, answer back straight away as soon as you can. If I leave a message, and then when we do the face to face, don't turn up late, because if you're going to turn up late, don't turn up, because that's the end of it. So turn up on time. Okay, on time is 5 minutes early. Turn up tidy, firm handshake, look me in the eye, be able to hold a conversation. And you know, for someone that's turning up with no experience, and I don't expect anyone to have any experience in specialist wall cover installation, those are the things that we're looking for. And if you can deliver on all of those, and perhaps have some references, I'm sure we can. You know, there's probably a position here for you.
No, thanks, Mick. That's really interesting. And actually, as you say there, it's interesting how many points you can get across about yourself as a person through your CV before you've even had that one-to-one interview. As you say, whether it's through, you know, as you say, your spelling, showing your attention to detail, you know, your organisation maybe in the way you lay it out, and those kind of things. And as you say, it's interesting to hear from an employer side, you know, what sort of maybe assumptions and things you're thinking about the candidate before they even turn up, as you say, based just on their CV.
Absolutely, Chris. I mean, we turn up on when we do. Sometimes we do face-to-face interviews, and we'll do them. Well, we have done before. We've done them in cafes or pubs, you know, in a quiet corner. We'll make sure we're well early. You know, like we're well early, and I'm always looking who's coming through the door. I've never met this person before as well, and 9.5 times out of 10, when they walk in, I can say to my business partner, it's that person. How do you know? And you can just tell around the timing, the way they're looking and things like that. But a big thing is like turning up early, you know, and you see some of them that turn up really early, go get a glass of water and stuff like that. And, you know, that shows that shows enthusiasm. There's a little bit of nervousness there. They want the job, you know, and you know, that's what we're looking for, really.
No, brilliant. And I agree. Those are great traits to look for. And going back to the example you gave about the young person who turned up early, who you interviewed, who showed you examples of the work, who went above and beyond. And I think there's actually maybe a little bit of fear amongst young people when applying for roles to go above and beyond, because, as I say, I think they may be worried that you know, that it might not be the required thing that's required for the interview. They might be worried, as I say, they might be going above and beyond in the wrong way, if you see what I mean. So it's actually interesting to hear from your side as an employer that actually it's those kind of extra enthusiastic things you can do, and those different things you could do in the interview that will give you the edge, you know, over someone else.
Yeah, absolutely. And perhaps that's hard for it's just a different way of thinking, especially for young kids coming out of school. In school, it's all been about GCSEs and your maths and your English and your science and geography and all that, and that is important, of course it is. But I find is once you get into the workforce, from us, this is just our company, in my opinion, what I'm looking for is interpersonal skills, social skills, all the soft skills, all the skills that don't get taught in books, right? That's what that's what you're looking for. And that's and if if I've got one bit of advice to young people, if they could bear that in mind and really start to think about that's like that's what's, it's not the talent will only get you so far.
You've actually sort of beaten me to my last question almost, and I don't know if you'll repeat the same thing, but where I always end these conversations is sort of talking about that if you could go back, say, Mick, now imagine take into account all the experience you've gained in business and everything you've learned from interviews you've either been the employer in or been the person wanted to be the employee in. If you could go back and speak to, say, 17, 18-year-old Mick about to go out on your career journey, what one piece of career advice would you give to your younger self?
Wow, Chris, how long have we got? One piece of career advice I give to myself, I would say I wish I knew the options that I had. So unfortunately, I didn't get any career advice, quite frankly. It was maybe from that where people go, university, trade, that's it. I'm lucky enough, I get to run my own company, and it's not something that I've ever dreamed I thought I would ever be able to do, and I absolutely love it. But that's I only got into that in my 30s. So the career advice would be present young Mick with some options. So to know that there are plenty of options out there. Have you thought about running your own business? Have you thought about going to university? Have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? So perhaps passing that on to other people is just to let people know that there are so many options out there, and just keep searching, because you've got to find you have to find what fits with you, and you don't have to be the exact nailed down the career. Like, for example, I didn't think that I wanted to be run a wallpaper hanging company, but looking back on it now, I was always going to work for myself, and I probably my life would have been a lot easier if I had known that from when I was 17, 18. Yeah.